All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the GGLeagues Gold Final. We have Big Toe Bros against DePaul. This will be an interesting game. My name is Michael Italian Bro Moretti. I am a student and I play for Elmhurst College Esports. I also have with me
Kevin. Endgame name's Kevin Ramirez. Also participating in the Elmhurst College team.
And me, Nathan Garcia, also known as Kiyoya Leo on Elmhurst College Esports.
And if you aren't familiar, GGLeagues is just a for fun league. We are competitive, or at least most of the teams that competed in are very competitive. But it's mostly for high school and college groups. So if you or anyone that you know want to form a team, there is a link, or should be a link down in the description, or you can just go to ggleagues.com and you can sign up for the season coming up in the fall. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting for the teams to filter in. We do have team 1 is DePaul and team 2 is Big Toe Bros. This should be an interesting game. We lost to both of them. But they were somewhat close. Just speaking on our experience, who do you guys what would your predictions be for who's gonna win?
I feel like DePaul has actually better closing out than the Big Toe Bros. They seem to solid the game. It's a little bit longer. From facing the Big Toe Bros, they do pressure the early game a lot, and they try to get their mid game going as soon as possible with their 2-item 1-item power spikes. So it'll be interesting to see how DePaul can manage the early pressure, because that's something they actually lack on, I think.
What do you think, Nathan?
I say this match is going to be very interesting. Both teams seem to be very good at their own strengths. Each team having their own strength. One team doing very well in the early to mid game, the other team doing very well at ending the game off themselves. So this game is going to just be to see which team's strat and strength can be to pull off the win for them. So
what do you guys think is their win condition? Because we can see that, obviously, just based on the ranks, there's a couple of plat players in a couple different places. And again, having played against both of them, where do you guys think the advantages are going to push forwards in each team?
Personally, I think that in terms of advantage, Big Toe Bros have a better mid. They play around it a lot more as well, it seems. And they can potentially try to snowball a lead off that, which is what happened in our game. So they clearly have a grasp on how to play around the mid lane with both the jungler and support.
With my previous experience in the top lane, I've seen that both teams, their top laners both know how to play very well and passively. They both know how to snowball and go off and just stall the game out as long as they can until they can get into their really end game items.
Yeah, that is definitely something that I notice. At least playing through bot, their bot lane isn't super aggressive unless you make mistakes. But they do know how to maintain CS and know how to pressure waves at least. Whereas I think that is more of a weakness of DePaul, where DePaul's bot lane is not necessarily the strongest. They can't really soak pressure. And they, sometimes know how to pressure lanes really well, but that, again, revolves around their jungle a lot more than I'd say Big Toe Bros does. But I'm kind of interested in what you guys think the team comps will kind of look like, because we know that Big Toe Bros like to be much more of a scaling team comp. They're willing to play more aggressive bot lanes, but then mid lane or top lane will be a lot more scaling. Whereas, at least from what I remember, DePaul is a little bit more of well-rounded, where they have some early, some late, and then some mid game.
Big Toe Bros seem to have more of a front, back to front, like team fight comps. They usually have like a mage in the mid lane, no matter what, and usually have a ADC that scales well into the late game, and about 2 tanks in the front to try to make sure like they have a well-rounded team comp and team fight. While DePaul seems to have more so like a pick comp a lot of the time. They seem to just want to get in your face and try to just knock out someone as fast as they can and pressure an objective. But it'd be interesting how that works out with the early pressure from Big Toe Bros.
Well, one thing we do know is that Cute Knight cannot play AD mids. At least from what we've seen, they are not the prettiest. So if she does pull it out, I think it will be interesting. It's not like the worst thing in the world, but I think just because Big Toe Bros know how to play mid lane, play around mid lane, it could be a little bit more of a riskier decision. So yeah, I have a feeling there are going to be some contests for some champions. Again, we just got into a new patch. I think it's 9.8. So there were some buffs to top lane champions, one of them being one of Dumb Thick's champions, Fiora. She got some buffs that, in our opinion, she didn't really need, especially at this level of play. Obviously, at pro play, it might be a little bit different, but he is fairly proficient at the champion, and that will just kind of push that a little bit more. And from what I remember, and you can speak in a little bit different, Nate, but the top laner, Bramako, from Big Toe Bros, doesn't really play tanks, but if he could pick up the Ornn or something that can build Thornmail early, that could definitely keep Dumb Thick down, just because Thornmail got buffed as well as a couple of the tank champions. Gnar also got buffed, so they might have to throw a couple of pretty big bans at Dumb Thick, because Gnar ult, Fiora W, and her E got buffed, which make them a little bit more beneficial. Also, at least in solo queue, Nautilus is becoming the bane of my existence, at least. Nautilus is starting to become a little bit more of an annoying champion, and he's becoming a little bit more common in solo queue with his buffs. They aren't the biggest thing, but he is starting to play more, or be seen more. And we are getting into draft. One thing that I think will happen for sure is, and I think it would be a mistake if DePaul don't do this, is they have to ban Sejuani. Angry Dwarf is basically a Sejuani one-trick, and with the recent W buffs, she's a tank, but she does, 100% more damage, whereas her W originally did 1% of the, I believe it's her total health, and now it does 2% to enemy. So if someone is proficient on the champion already, then it'll just be a little bit more of an issue. What are you guys expecting to see out of this?
What I expect from the bans is usually I expect either Azir or the Vel'Koz to try to take away from the mid laner, but I do expect a bunch of bans being thrown out centered around the mid lane or top lane, just to make sure they don't have a comfort champ or something they can potentially get an upper hand on or something they're comfortable on.
There's the Urgot ban. So recently, in the last game between Elmhurst and Big Toe Bros, Urgot didn't really do too well in the early game, but as the game was prolonged, he started to scale and was able to win back the fights. So that DePaul picking off and banning off Urgot seems to be a really good choice in this time.
With the 3 mid bans, it seems like they're really trying to play around mid lane, get NL on a very comfortable champion against Katie, because she sometimes has to apply a lot of pressure in the mid lane, which that seems like they don't want to play around right now. They want to just have a smooth early game, make sure that the jungler doesn't have much of an issue ganking. And with the Hecarim pick, it seems like they're just going for the level 6 power spike to gank any lane possible.
This could be a Hecarim top, though. That is one thing we haven't really seen. This is pretty interesting, though. We have an Orianna. Oh, no, there's the Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz did cause us some big issues, and Kevin can kind of speak about that. It was not fun to play against.
The way he plays Vel'Koz is with the Sejuani, especially with the Sejuani now, it looks like they're replaying around heavy vision around the mid lane, make sure Sejuani and this Vel'Koz are comfortable maybe with a 2v2. Early game, they usually should win that. So with the confirmed picks of Vel'Koz and Sejuani, I do see Big Tobros having like an advantage in terms of like maybe mentality, because they're going in with champions they're very comfortable on. Solo queue, they have like they have over 100 matches in both champions. So it's something they expect to possibly try to win the early game.
I find it kind of interesting that Big Tobros was hovering Oriana. Oh, there's the Orin. Okay. So as we've kind of seen it right now, almost Katie's entire champion pool, at least that we know of, has been banned. So if they would have picked the Oriana, I'm not really sure what she would have played into it, especially seeing that there aren't that many good mid laners left, I would say. Well, she could have played Syndra into that, but I don't think that's an exactly favorable matchup for her.
Into Vel'Koz?
Yeah.
Syndra into Vel'Koz is, I would say it's a little bit harder in the early game, but when Syndra can land her QEs, it's a lot easier.
Okay.
But with Oriana, she's gonna look to clear the mid lane, maybe try to roam around, or just try to keep her on her turret, make it hard for Vel'Koz to farm. But with the Vel'Koz true damage, the early game's gonna go to Vel'Koz. Now
we did see Orin get picked, so again, Orin did get some pretty noticeable buffs. He had some changes with his passive where, so with his passive, the Living Forge, he now has a health increase for the Forge Fire Cape, health increase, and an armor increase. He has Frozen Fist, the armor was increased, and then the Infernal Mask, which has a health increase and magic resist increase. So these are, once they are the forged items, so he's going to be a very tanky boy once he gets those. Basically, once he hits level 13, he's going to be even stronger than he was before. And given that he's playing into Gnar, I think he could build Thornmail, but I don't think it's necessary. I think it would depend on their AD carry that they're playing against, which...
So,
yeah.
Both teams look like they're going for a heavy team fight comp, but as predicted, the Big Tobros have a really back-to-front team comp at the moment. They have Caitlyn and Vel'Koz hit from the back, and they have 2 engagers, and looks like they're going for the Zillion, which will keep their backline actually alive, which is very useful actually.
Or the Karma. The Karma was not fun to play against the first time we played that.
The Karma is very annoying in lane and out of lane with the massive shields, and once you get Ardent Sensor, it becomes not fun for the enemy team once Caitlyn just starts getting Ardent Sensor stacks rolling. And I think the Xayah for bot lane can potentially beat them with the engage from Hecarim and Rakan, but it's up to Big Tobros who play it safe, play it slow, just get to the mid game, late game, and they could probably just win through the bot side.
Yeah, I don't know who I favor here in team fights. I think if DePaul can get a pick early with Rakan, Oriana, or Hecarim, if they can blow up Caitlyn, Karma, or Vel'Koz, they should just be able to win a fight from there, especially because Xayah is really good against tanks, purely because of her feathers. For those of you that don't know, Xayah's Xayah, her passive, with each one of her abilities, Q, W, E, and R, they throw out feathers, and the feathers will lay on the ground, and when you pull them back, they deal a percentage. Forgive me, I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since I've played the champion at a decent level. But basically, it pulls them back and will stun, it will root the enemy champions, and it will deal a percentage which increases based off of their crit damage. This is definitely not a favorable lane for Xayah. She kind of gets outpoked by Karma and Caitlyn. So kind of what I expect here is Sejuani to sit between mid and bot, not really pay any attention to top lane because it's just a losing lane, and focus on invading into blue side and getting basically every dragon that they can, because they should have the bottom river open the entire early game until they get that first tower, especially if Zaya Rakan ends up dying early. Orianna, and I'm not sure.
I mean, most likely what's going to happen is Sejuani might go mid, try to get some early pressure, maybe a level 2 gank, get the flash out, get Vel'Koz in like the early lane pressure, because it's going to be rather even until Vel'Koz finishes Ludens, because then he kills backline minions with W and kills the front 2 with his Q. So I think Sejuani is going to gank either bot or mid, probably a level 2, level 3, try to get an early advantage. Hecarim maybe can match, but I think the Sejuani earlier wins at the moment, especially with the Vel'Koz.
Yeah, and also depends on also the runes that Hecarim is taking at this time. So a lot of times you can see Hecarim take either Conquerors or Predator. So right now, Conqueror on Hecarim is really good since his Q is on such a short cooldown that he can stack up the passive right away. If he's going to 1v1 Sejuani early game, he will win that fight if he's taking Conquerors. But if he's going for a more blowing up the enemy team's backline, then the Predator is going to be more preferred in this matchup.
Yeah, so and then how do you think top lane's going to go, Nate?
Top lane, it's going to be a losing fight. Orange is going to probably mostly be either maxing out his Q and just using that just to CS, because right now he's going to have to wait till Gnar actually goes and transforms into Mega Gnar, and that's the only way that he'll be able to trade with him. Right now, with how Gnar is being ranged in the early game, then all he has to do is worry about is just CSing and getting poked out. So the orange, he's probably going to be playing with just probably buying the first item, maybe relic shield, or not relic shield, Targon shield, and then also getting some health regen, just to stay in lane a little bit longer and not getting poked out and having to back early.
Yeah, and again, one of the advantages that Ornn does have is he can go out of vision. So if he is getting consistently poked down, he can go out of vision, build a ruby crystal, and he can just build a ruby crystal, and then we can move on from there. It will give him health back. So yeah, he doesn't really have to back, which is, I guess, kind of the nice thing in this lane. He is going to be getting poked out as long as he can consistently get some sort of CS. He will be able to stay back, just kind of farm it out, build items in lane. So it's kind of on DePaul to win their top lane really, really hard. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a really rough mid game for them. Mid to late game, because they kind of just need to snowball top lane and then stall out bot lane.
Yeah, and Grasp and the Dying on Ornn is also a very good rune to take, but in this instance, it's not going to be helpful because Ornn's not going to be able to get too close to Gnar in this instance. And because even if Ornn were to use his E, his little headbutt move, Gnar can always just jump out of the way, and then Ornn can't proc his grasps. So in this case, it would have been better for him to take Aftershock. He'll be more tanky, and then also he'll be able to close in more when he's into team fights.
One thing I kind of want to point out is we see Dumb Thick going fleet footwork on Gnar. I can understand because it will allow him to jump around and kind of dash around a little bit more from skill shots, but again, as we kind of just said, he's not really going to be fighting the Ornn, or at least the Ornn really isn't going to be fighting back, so he doesn't really need the lifesteal. So maybe it would have been a little bit better of an idea to go Grasp so he can become a little bit more tanky and actually be useful once it gets to late game, at least in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Nate.
Yeah, so this instance, like I'm saying, Orange just really not going to be able to use his rune at all. The grass proc, he has to be able to get in close and be able to hit Gnar as often as he can. And how Dumpthick seems to be playing, he seems to be just pushing the lane, getting the landing as much as he can. Since he's taking fleet footwork, he can play a little bit more aggressively in lane. He can take a little bit more of the minion damage and then regenerate that back up with the fleet.
Okay. So as it looks like, the Hecarim did go for Conqueror this match, which means he might be fighting for the Scuttle Crab early, because he wins that against the Sejuani 1-on-1. So might be one of the early engages, maybe the Orianna wants to get early pressure, bot side gets early pressure for bot side scuttle, as that's where you're starting. So I can see possibly an early fight in the jungle between Sejuani and Ekrim with the Conqueror at the moment.
Yeah, and this was interesting. We didn't see a 5-point start. We actually saw kind of like a clump around bot side, and then just kind of a fanning out where you have the top laners covering the entrances into red and blue on their respective sides, and then mid laners just kind of sitting around in mid. As of right now, we do see the Vel'Koz starting to shove in. Again, this could be more due to Sejuani trying to get early crab pressure, but it's interesting because as right now we see Sejuani kind of just getting her potential. Yeah, she can't get level 3 off of that, so now we're going to go and check. Oh, hello. Alright.
Click on the map.
Yeah, so Hecarim did end up getting that scuttle early. Didn't look like there was that much of a fight. He did have to smite for it, which means that Sejuani could just go to top crab right now. And it would be free for her. Yeah, again, just kind of see Vel'Koz shoving in Orianna. Orianna has went through at least one of her pots. Vel'Koz is still sitting at 2. And then mid lane, as of right now, Xayah is not doing too hot. She's missed about a wave in CS, but she has about a little over a wave to catch. So if she can get all this, she should be pretty back even. And then we do see on the top side that Hecarim did end up getting both crabs, which is a pretty big deal for both of his mid and top lane. Just because, again, we know the top lane wants to be pushed out almost the whole lane. And mid lane, just in case, because we do know that jungle likes to spend a lot of time mid lane, gives mid lane a little bit more security.
So in the early game, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the DePaul actually didn't put any wards in the pixel brushes, so Hecarim went in kind of blind for the Skull Crabs, which could have been disastrous had they not known where the Sejuani was. But it worked out well because of the pressure that KD is actually fighting off right now. They're staying in the middle of the lane, making sure they both have access to side lanes at any time they need it. And looks like the junglers are just gonna just clear out their entire jungles, maybe look for an evade, look for something, put a deep ward in. Whereas right now, the game's going rather quiet. The bot side is just trading slightly, just pushing out towards big Tobros right now, so maybe Hecarim can look for something then. But as of right now, everything's going slow. As we kind of predicted, maybe Sejuani might be looking for a gank rather soon.
Yeah, and now it seems like in the mid lane that the trend of trading and poking has just switched over now.
Oh, we do see Ghost use mid lane. Not to much avail. Didn't get anything out of Vel'Koz. Just got him to finish or use up his final pot. Yeah, not. Ghost is on like a 2-minute cooldown anyway, so it's not like it's the worst thing in the world. But it will mean that Hecarim is at a little bit of a disadvantage for any further ganks. And he didn't force Vel'Koz to back. We do see an interesting trade going down top side.
Yeah.
Not really sure what was going on there. But I would imagine, actually, Dumb Thing is not doing a bad job of poking Ornn out, but Ornn is staying fairly healthy.
That's good work.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all.
Okay. I just don't like it because I don't know how to get this off.
Seems like Dumpig just took a really bad trade at the top lane. In this situation, even though he's taking these bad trades, all he really needs to do is just keep using his fleet footwork just to regen health, and then also transform with Mega Gnar to gain his increase in health, and then the pull going right back into him.
We do see a trade going on to bot lane right now.
This is Sejuani gank, which looks like you're not getting much out of it. It's fine.
Yeah, not going to get much out of it.
But in the mid lane, if
They
you
had
guys
to-
see,
Saw really quickly.
Yeah, we
They
saw.
ulted the Orianna, made her pop her barrier.
and flash, I
Nope,
think.
just
not
barrier.
flash.
Yeah, she just made her pop barrier, which again isn't the worst thing in the world. It could have been a lot worse.
And with the wave being in the middle, they both get pretty decent back timings. No one's really pressured that after, so it should be fine.
What should we? Okay. Okay. But yeah.
Seems like Dumptic now is playing a little bit more aggressively now that his health is right back up.
Looks like Dumptic back TP'd while Orange still has his. He now bought boots and cloth armor, and is looking to sit in lane for longer than Nar potentially is. Maybe I'll sustain him over time. But as of now, it looks like Nar does have the CS lead, but that's to be expected with the lane he's in. Caitlyn right now has a 20 CS lead over the Xayah, which can be detrimental once they back. If they back early, it makes force.
Oh, there's right now a gank coming in at the mid lane.
So it looks like Katie might have to flash this one if she wants to stay alive.
Oh, nice ult by Katie. Oh, she might be able to get a trade kill.
Yep,
Nice.
there's his first blood.
Nice trade kill back by Cute
Both-
Knight.
And Sejuani popped their flash too, so there's that. And then since both of them traded both a flash, this is beneficial for DePaul.
I would somewhat disagree. I think it's a little bit more beneficial for Big Toe Bros just because, again, Katie cannot really shove out the lane anymore because she doesn't have flash, and this was a level 5
Gank.
Yeah, a level 5 gank. So once Big Toe Bros get the level 6 from Sejuani, they could just come in with her ultimate if Katie is shoved out with no vision, which, again, we don't really see any vision on the map right now. They could. This could be pretty bad for Katie, but as of right now, again, she did get the 400
First
gold,
blood.
yeah, for first blood, and she's actually up in CS with the wave shoving back into her. She is going to miss this wave, but she will collect the entirety of the next one.
Yeah. And right now, Dumptic seems to be pushing in on the top lane since he has the advantage.
Ornbot is Ninja Tabai, so maybe help him all a little bit out because right now with the Phage, Nars is kind of unstoppable on the top side.
Oh yeah.
Orn might be looking for a back now actually, which is actually really good. He might have a decent amount of gold just to go back and spend. Looks like they both bot side bought their BF swords, but Kaelin's have the advantage with the extra pickaxe. And I think most likely what's going to end up happening is bot side might be looking for more skirmishes, try to chunk each other out, potentially make each other have an unfair back timing.
Right now, Orn is also TPing back into lane, trying to catch up in CS again. Both the junglers are at level 6 with the respective smites up. Hecarim is just a couple seconds behind Sedge, so if they're going to try to contest for a dragon, now would be a good time.
Speaking of the dragon,
It's the first dragon's Infernal, so
it's really good. Looks like Big Troubles do have the advantage bot side though, so if the Sejuani plays it correctly, they can potentially try to sneak it, maybe force a fight. But Katie is stronger than Develkaz with blue buff now,
yeah.
so they have to look out for that. Katie is looking potentially for just 2-man, 3-man ult, potentially catch out someone unsuspectingly.
Both the mid lane and the ADC still have their wards up that they can still place down, just in case for potential ganks and stuff. Right now, the Vel'Koz is now being poked out of lane by Orianna, but Sejuani is sort of now pathing towards mid since she's clearing up her top, finishing up clearing up her top, so she might be looking for a mid gank since she has her ult up as well. And as Mike was previously saying, since she no longer has her flash, she can really capitalize on this.
Yeah, and one thing that we kind of want to pay attention to is if DePaul can delay the dragon take by Big Toe Bros for the next, I want to say 2 minutes, their top or DePaul's top lane, so Nar will have TP advantage. So then, again, this is something else that Big Toe Bros have to keep in mind, and it could be a little bit dangerous for them. But we can see Cute Knight starting to win a lot more fights or a lot more trades in mid lane. Getting that first kill did give her a blasting wand, which again is a little bit.
Oh, and here we have a gank coming in now.
Yeah, we do see a gank coming in mid. Let's see if she. Oh, passive. I assume she's just gonna ult here.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's a kill on the mid. 2 ults were used.
She also
in this
pops her
one.
barrier, which is pretty big for the next gank, because now Sejuani can use for peeking, most likely.
Yep.
At the moment, it looks like actually it's good timing for... Oh, with
Bot
the
lane
Hecarim
seems
bot
to
side.
Caitlyn just passed both Flash and.
I think they can make it out with no one dying, which is really good for them because then Sejuani can start pathing bot side with now their chunk bot side and potentially try to fight for Dragon now as Vel'Koz is up in the map sooner. He has run it down real quick and make it there faster.
I think DePaul could have played that a little bit better.
Ooh, and right now Dunkdick just took a really bad trade.
Yeah, but again, he does have fleet, so he will be able to heal all that health back up. We do see Sejuani just kind of slinking down, but as we can see based on the pings on bot side.
Oh, Ornn's ulting, see him, he can't pick off a kill.
Oh.
And he does.
Ornn does get the kill, which is actually really beneficial because he was down almost 50 CS, which now it's very good for him because he can actually just catch up more. Maybe he can finish half an item at this point. He has a lot of farm still left to be bought for an item, and looks like now with Gnar dead, it gives Sejuani time to go bot side, potentially start getting the dragon now, because that seems to be highly contested now, or should be highly contested, because the way the game's headed is going to go long. No one's really wanting to make the first move. They're both both teams are really cautious about what the next team's doing, and right now looks like Big Tobros are in the lead barely by 100 gold, but that mostly lies in the ADC most likely, which is up 20 CS over the Xayah.
As we look at it right now, both sides seem to have DePaul doesn't really have that much warding over on the Dragon side. They haven't really been clearing that out, even when they pushed up or had their gank. Hecarim did clear a control ward by the bot river bush, but that was pretty much it. He didn't try to check for the bot. And we just got a flash, I believe. Yep, a flash was blown over here at mid.
Yeah, Vel'Koz does blow his flash, so once Hecarim gets his ghost up and ult, I think he will look to path back mid lane.
Right now they're trying to take Rift, both Gnar and Hecarim, but they might have to back off since they have the mid and the jungler collapsing right on their position.
They'll have the support Rakan going up. Oh, looks like Katie got caught up by the Vel'Koz E.
Oh, Vel'Koz seems to get picked off right now. Ooh, good double ult by Orianna or Caitlyn. Sejuani messes up with the flash, but she still was able to E over it.
They will keep Gnar alive, which is very good for them. It was a 2 for 0.
With the Rift.
Yeah, with Rift Herald, which is really good. Again, this is kind of just result in Big Tobros getting some more turret damage, which...
And they just used the Rift up at top lane too, so they're going to try to get that first tower done and over with some extra plating damage as well.
Yeah, and then after this, I kind of expect DePaul to throw Gnar bot lane. But yeah, and this is really good. This was right before the turret plating fell, so I believe Gnar and Hecarim got both of them shared all that gold.
They both got 4 plating worths of gold.
Yeah, 4 plating worths and first turret, so that's like 800 gold?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just got an 800 gold swing in the top lane, and we can see that based off of that fight up on top side and the rift being used, the lead has kind of now ballooned to 2K. I wouldn't really be too worried about bot lane right now. Caitlyn has a full IE, whereas Xayah has BF, pickaxe, and boots, so she isn't really that far behind.
It seems like right now Big Tobros are clearing up and starting to take the dragon, since DePaul hasn't really been warding it or trying to keep vision on that area at all. And it looks like dragon's going to fall into the first dragon's going to go to Big Tobros at this point. And right now, since top has already lost, Ornn is going to trying to pick off people with his ult and try to make plays with his teammates as well. But you can't really be pushed out too much, or Gnar's going to just keep pushing top and just keep taking towers.
I do think the next fight has to roll down on the bot side because Caitlyn does have an advantage. I want to exemplify that, or say that Caitlyn can potentially turn her team fight around with the fact that she is very strong. She can turn her fight around if she gets great positioning, has Karma on the back with her, and Sejuani and Ornn in the front, making sure that she stays alive. I do believe that she can out DPS Xayah if done correctly with her finished IE, and when she back, she probably has a Zeal item.
Coming up at top right now. Gnar seems to be not in the best of spots right now.
Especially because this Gnar bar did just run out. He will end up dying. Yeah,
Ooh,
just
Ooh,
a
but
really
there's
good.
a trade kill at bottom as well. But the kill going to the support, not too bad. He can also, not too bad as long as the kill is going towards the bot lane. It should benefit both of them.
Yeah, so I would kind of just expect.
They seem they're trying to go for another kill.
Yeah.
They just blew Karma's flash at this point.
Yeah, so they have Caitlyn dead. Karma has no flash. They're kind of starting to turn this lane around, at least from bot side. Bot side was kind of getting smashed. They were down pretty far in CS. Xayah should be able to buy IE now. She might need one, two more waves.
Looks like they're trying to go for a mid pick right here. Vel'Koz isn't too far from his tower.
Oh,
They were able to
that was
get-
very good.
Popping his barrier and also
And
notices-
Katie's flash popped as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So flash for barrier. That's not the worst thing in the world, but again, because Orianna is a very immobile champion, they kind of want to make sure that she is behind someone or she is not the first person picked out, because if she gets Ornn ulted, Sejuani ulted, she's probably going to die just because she doesn't have flash. So I think things are starting to accelerate the way that the Paul want them to. And now that a little bit more turrets are going down, bot lane turret has gone down. Top lane tier 1 has gone down. We're kind of going to start to see at least a little bit more priority around dragons. Baron is up in just over 2 minutes. And yeah, I think it's mostly just going to be around dragons right now.
So heading into the mid game, I do expect with the lead that DePaul does have now, potentially is ward around the Baron and the Dragon whenever they come up. The next Dragon, I actually don't know what it is, but I do see them contesting that this time. They actually have the resources and they have the pressure to do so, with Gnar pushing in topside repeatedly, with TP up now. I do see them just contesting for Dragons and essentially the Baron.
Gnar
when they
might
come
be
up.
getting caught out right here.
I think he's okay. Fleet footwork is going to help him dodge out of that. In all seriousness, it did help him a little bit because Fleet does give you a little bit of a movement speed buff, but it's not going to be.
Now it seems like we're gonna have a 5v5 team fight right here soon. Both teams not really trying to see who makes the first move, just trying to poke each other out.
Yeah, personally, I would just send Gnar into bot lane, have Ornn shadow him, because you're not going.
I said Giovanni going in. We have the Gnar and Hecarim all going out.
Oh, with Katie with the backside, Caitlyn getting ulted by the Orianna.
Oh, no, Big Thick coming in.
Yeah, with the Gnar ult, he ulted 3 people.
Got a 3-man ult,
And
flashing too to get it out.
Yeah, and now we just kind of see. That was a good team fight for DePaul.
They lost one person for a trade of 3, so right now the lead has just gotten even bigger now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to take this mid lane down just because they have a Caitlyn Vel'Koz. And Caitlyn Vel'Koz is really good at kind of stalling the game out due to their really good wave clear. So if I was DePaul, I would have sent.
And Hecarim seems to just be right now warding the bot lane, getting ready for the next dragon that's coming up soon.
Yeah, he did leave that one in bot river, which is interesting, in Banana Bush. But yeah, me personally, I would have sent Gnar bot lane just to go and push that tower in, and then I would have sent Orianna top or Xayah top just to collect that top wave. Again, just because Gnar has been kind of shoving down turrets and making sure that they are, taking turrets down, because there's no way that they can get that mid turret. We can see
that we have a second Inferno now. They're clearing the wards right here. They're trying to get this second Inferno. It's going to be a huge power spike for them, but it's going to just really try to get them right back into the game right now since they're behind.
The Big Tobros did get there first. They rotate first, but Gnar did back with TP up. Looks like he's looking to.
Yeah, Gnar is TPing it, so Big Tobros have to back off. And again, they do not have any ultimates, so I don't know. I think Big Tobros could have tried to fight that at least and not just given it up. But again, we do see at least a little bit of a fight. Looks like they're pressuring for mid lane. We do see that DePaul has first rotation on mid lane, so they should get this mid lane turret. without any big issues.
And they do have Demolish on their team too, so they're going to be able to take and chunk these towers really fast.
Yeah, and I would kind of expect them to kind of send Hecarim and then, yeah, as you can see right now, they're sending Hecarim and Rakan up into the top side just to kind of put Vision down because Baron has recently spawned. They also, instead of just getting Baron Vision, they could have also shoved in top lane, potentially gotten a little bit of damage on top lane. But again, just a little bit of food for thought. I think Baron is a lot more important now that it is up. I think Baron is a lot more important for DePaul than it is for
Big Tobros.
Yeah, Big Tobros. Just because Big Tobros has so much wave clear. They have Caitlyn, Karma, and Vel'Koz. I mean, even Ornn is pretty decent at wave clear with his W and Q. Whereas DePaul kind of just has Orianna Xayah, and that will definitely get out poked by Vel'Koz, Caitlyn, and Karma.
Yeah, and
so,
Baron for DePaul would be really good for them because they can also capitalize with its the increased magic resistance on the minion, making Vel'Koz's wave clear a little bit less useful.
So right now, the win conditions for DePaul is clearly their mid and jungle Hecarim and Orianna with 4-1-2-2-0-5. Hecarim just finished his Triforce, which gives him a huge power spike whenever he jumps in the back line, potentially on Caitlyn or Vel'Koz, but forcing him to flash and or pop his barrier once it's up.
Yeah, and there seems to be a big wave at the bot lane. Since they're all on top, they need to send someone at least down there just to take that first tower in the bot lane, just to open up the map a bit more for them as well, and the DePaul team.
Big Tobros have to focus now on just letting the bleeding stop a little bit, try to plug it up, make sure that they're just farming, make sure they're contesting the objectives close enough to where they're not dying, but also warding correctly, warding defensively, making sure that they're not hiding in their bush potentially. So right now it's up to the Big Tobros to just play it slow, drag it out, because I do think they can win a fight later, because I do believe that like Gnar and Hecarim is really strong, but I do believe Sejuani and Ornn, the ult, are just really strong together alongside the Vel'Koz, who just hit from the back with Caitlyn. So it steps up to the 3-item power spike. I think should be really good for them.
Like now, both teams are hovering around Baron, trying to get vision, using their control wards, and trying to poke each other out as best as they can.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things is Caitlyn is definitely on a power spike in comparison to Xayah. Xayah doesn't even have her first crit, or her first not crit item, but
Attack speed item.
Yeah, attack speed item. As opposed to Caitlyn, which does have her first attack speed item and her IE, so she will be doing a little bit more damage, and she will be able to poke a little bit safer. Just like that. She kind of can just sit over walls. She can poke relatively free because
Gnar going in, trying to get an ult, but has to back away.
Oh, we do see the Rakan ult on 3 people.
Gnar hit the backline with the ult, and now Caitlyn's dead.
Sejuani's getting blown up.
That was a really good Vel'Koz.
Vel'Koz is bringing it back now. Vel'Koz can bring it back if he plays it slow.
Yep.
Okay, he had a flash.
Ornn is pretty tanky right now. He's tanking it up, but he can't really get it because of the kiting. And Ornn is down. Big Tobros did do a really good attempt at turning that fight right back around. Able to pick off the Orianna and the Xayah.
Yeah, and that was really well played by
both teams.
Both teams. That was a really good. Again, as we kind of stated earlier, DePaul has a really good engage comp, and if they can blow someone up, that will be really good for them. One thing that we kind of forgot to say is that if Big Tobros can kind of just kite it out for the Vel'Koz and Caitlyn, they should be able to win team fights just because of how Caitlyn and Vel'Koz work. Vel'Koz did save his ult, and he did a very good job of saving his ult there until the end, and Ornn tried his best to just keep
the enemy team off of him.
Yeah, keep the enemy team off of Vel'Koz. The Sejuani did the same thing, and they almost won that fight at the end, but again, just because the Orianna and Orianna. We do see. Oh, Katie just gets blown up.
I mean, now they have the ult. They're actually.
Now they're just blowing their lead. They're getting picked off now.
Right now, all we have to do is just play it slow. Dumptick's not there. The Xayah does get a return kill on the Vel'Koz, but it looks like she will pay her life for it. And now this is the favorable fights that Big Tobros do want to take. They want to make sure that they can get small skirmishes, pick someone off. Because right now they have their jungler up with their ADC, and are looking to take mid lane.
Yeah.
They could just rotate to Baron, actually, because they don't. They
Oh, which they are right now. They
Yeah.
seem to be
Yeah,
rotating
they-
over to Baron.
They look to be rotating.
Since it's just Gnar and only Rakan up, so they won't be able to do as much damage. So it looks like Big Tobros are going to be able to take this Baron. They might also rotate down to Dragon to get the little speed buff that's going to help them out on the map.
DePaul is trying to contest or stall out until Katie and the rest get there, but I do think the Dragons is going to go in Big Turbo's way, which is something I did not expect to see right now, but it looks like Big Turbo stuck it out long enough. They did come back with the team fights.
They are rotating now fast. Oriana and Hecarim both over there. Gnar transforming and Mega ulting right now.
It looks like Sejuani is taking a lot of damage right now.
They are taking a lot of
damage. They have to focus the Baron and they get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're getting get it. Now Hecarim getting chained up.
Oh, and they got it for free as well. Not losing anyone there.
Neither side didn't get a loss at all. But with this, they should be able to push out lanes now. Big Toe Bros.
I do believe they can stall out a lot longer now with Baron. They don't have to use it offensively. They can just use it to just make sure that DePaul can't push in any more turrets, play it out slow, farm up, and Big Tobros should be looking to make a comeback really soon.
Right now, DePaul seems to be going for that Dragon. Not trying to give them any more movement speed, because movement speed in this instance is going to be very beneficial for the enemy team. Because with this Karma speed buff and also with Ornn being able to chase down people, this is going to be very beneficial if they were to get this.
But this is also really beneficial for Hecarim, because as Hecarim moves faster with his passive, he does more damage.
And Hecarim seems to be just going mostly a damage build. He went for Enchanted Warrior on his
We do see another fight mid lane.
Sejuani seems to be getting
that-
picked
Yeah,
off.
they're focusing the Sedge. That was a really good ult by Hecarim, just to make sure the Vel'Koz is out of his ult.
Yeah.
We do see Katie ult the backline. Unfortunately, gets no one.
Yep.
She will ult. Oh, not dead. All right.
The Big
so that
Tobros
was-
are playing it slow. It looks like
And
the Ornn's coming in.
Orange coming
and
in from
he's-
the back line. They're getting the pick off.
They're pinching them right now, and it turns out that Zaya is trying to save the team fight, but it's cut out. That was close.
Yeah.
But they just have too much damage, and the Baron buff is just they're too strong right
Now
now.
with this seems like they're gonna try to go for it. Either they're gonna try to get this inhib since they're just recently killed everyone.
They could potentially look to almost end the game as well if they want to.
But with Karma being with three of them being very low or below half HP, and the enemies coming up and Hecarim coming up in 6, it might not be beneficial for them to try to end. So they're gonna go back since they still have their Baron buff, and then enhance recall.
They are now actually up in gold by 1k, which is actually really good for them. They have the Warmog, so they could have stayed with the tanks. Something we didn't talk about earlier was the fact that Vel'Koz got the shutdown on Katie, the $300 shutdown. So now that allowed him to finish his Morellos, and now he also has Zanya's, which Katie's still trying to build. So Vel'Koz went from being down to now being ahead of Katie through just like smart team fighting and just smart picks he made. And the Keelan did get the upgraded IE, which is really strong.
Molten Edge. Yep, increase in damage, which is going to be very beneficial for her. Right now, still both top and bot lanes first tower are still up. So I don't know why the lanes haven't really done anything on that.
Yeah, so what do you guys think about the team fight focus? That was a little bit interesting by DePaul to kind of focus the Sejuani. When they had Hecarim, Hecarim could have ulted the backline. I mean, it was very well played by Hecarim to kind of just clip Vel'Koz to get him out of his ult. But I mean, do you guys think that they could have played that a little better? Again, they probably should have just given mid lane up because they were missing the Zaya, and I think if Zaya was there, that team fight could have gone a lot differently. So as of right now, I mean, DePaul just has to find a way to stall out.
Yeah.
That's about all that they can really do.
Ooh, right now, Gnar's getting really poked out hard.
I do think DePaul can win a team fight if they do play quickly, but Ornn is ulting, trying to cut him off slightly.
Right now, they're trying to see if they can force another play or another team fight and catch anyone out. Zaya popping her ult.
They did run out of Baron, so it looks like they might have to end the siege for now and just reset, push out bot as well, and play for the next Baron coming up.
And it looks like Sejuani and Ornn did ult. They tried to catch someone out. I would assume it's either
Zaya and Gnar.
No, I think it was the Rakan. They were trying to hit someone. It did miss. So it is not the worst thing in the world. DePaul is kind of just stalling this out. Again, once it gets to late game, I really prefer Big Tobro's team comp.
Especially
They have
with
really
Ornn.
good. They have a really good front line too with Ornn and Sejuani. Well, the only real front line they have for DePaul only has really Gnar, and that's only when he goes Mega. And after that, they don't really have a frontline team to really soak up any damage or to keep them off their damage dealers like Cute Knight and also Sabanir.
Yeah, and the Caitlyn's going. Oh, interesting. I thought she was going to go. Oh, she was actually going to go Bloodthirster. I thought she was going to go armor penetration, just so that way she would be able to do true damage and do even a little bit more damage to Gnar. But it isn't necessary, just given who they're playing against, or the team comp they're playing against. I'm not 100%.
Seems like they're going to try to go for another team fight here. Both teams really benefit from fighting in the close quarter combat. Both the Paul teams really, if they fight in close quarters, it's going to be relying mostly on Rakan and Gnar's ult. It was the same thing with Hecarim. But if Big Toe Bros is able to catch them out in another tight spot as well, Vel'Koz's ult will be able to do a bunch of damage and pretty much chunk their whole team.
Yeah, and Vel'Koz is just
poking them out.
Yeah, pinging everyone, mostly Gnar. I would like to see the Hecarim.
Ooh, the heals came out.
Yeah.
Looks
Right
like
now,
both
did
team-
come out.
Oh, they're
Oh, they're going in? Yep, they went
we got a two-man
looks like
engage.
the all teams do have sums up, and Vel'Koz got cut out with.
Yeah, we see the Rakan ult go in. Rakan is dead. Again, just the kite back that they have from.
Heck-
Hecarim's
Hecarim
going in by
right back
himself.
in and
We
then
do see the power that
getting
Kaylin
picked
has
off.
on the backside.
Ooh, and
Yeah.
that's a 4-for-1 right now.
And
in
she
this
does have flash.
situation.
Oh, it's getting close.
Oh,
This might be
Oh.
an ace for. Oh,
That was
not
close.
almost.
But they do
almost.
get the push initiative now, and Oriana, I do not think, can stop the push from the 4 members of Big Toe Bros right now.
Yeah, and this seems like this first game is gonna go to Big Toe Bros. Seems like they're gonna try to end with this final push with both the 2 tanks alive.
Yeah, again, I would kind of just have preferred to see Hecarim over on the side, kind of trying to flank instead of coming through his team where Big Toe Bros can see him. I think it would have just helped them a little bit more to try and get their objective of blowing people up or blowing the backline up.
And first game goes to Big Toe Bros right now. Both teams put in a very good effort in their team comp and fights. But right now it seems like they're gonna need to really rethink. DePaul needs to really rethink their strategy and how they're gonna go into this next game.
Yeah, and here we can see just some of the statistics. Some of the damage numbers. Again, Caitlyn and Vel'Koz kind of just doing Caitlyn and Vel'Koz things, poking the enemy team out just because they do, outrange everyone. Unfortunately, I don't think we can see gold.
You can if you go to stats. And
I
they're.
can't go to stats. Oh, I meant like the graph.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think the biggest. Yeah, even we can see top lane. Top lane at the end of the game wasn't that big of a difference. I would have liked to see how big of a difference it was at mid game. Bot lane was. I'd say bot lane was kind of where they lost the game. Caitlyn just kept getting exponentially farther and farther ahead, and DePaul just kept forcing fights when their Xayah wasn't there, when their Xayah was trying to farm. So I think better communication, or better team fighting in general with the Hecarim trying to flank instead of trying to run straight through them and trying to, ult the front line. Hecarim, you kind of want to just run straight at the back line and just blow people up. But, I mean, what do you guys... I think DePaul could have used their early advantages in top and mid lane at least a little bit better instead of having our group as much. They probably should have had him sit bot lane. Like, as soon as he took top tower, rotate him to bot. You have 3 or 4 people bot, shove in the bot lane turret. You have that, rotate, get something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what are you guys looking for next game? What would you guys like to see?
Next game, I think Big Toe Bros don't have much to change besides their execution. Their team comp, I think, was really played out really well, how they wanted it to, just front-to-back team fights. But their early game was not the greatest, especially with miscommunication.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like DePaul had the right idea in trying to have champions that can go into the back line and pull and pick them off. But that's the thing too. If they go for a comp that's mostly focused on getting into that back lane and they don't have a really good front line that can benefit from that, then it's not really going to work out. as I was saying earlier, Hecarim's good for getting into that back line, but if he can't blow anyone up or if he can't insta-kill or pick anyone off with that, like going straight into the back line, then he's going to become very easy to pick off and not going to be beneficial for their team. Same thing with Gnar. Once Gnar ults goes down and he gets a stun off, he's pretty much is going to be easy picking. While with with Big Toe Bros, they had a lot of engage and a lot of CC that they can benefit from. Sejuani had Warmong, so she can go in, and if she had to back off, she can back off and then reinitiate with the Warmong's heal.
And yes, sorry, this will be best of 3. Yeah, this is best of 3. Sorry, we didn't raise the game sound earlier. What do you guys think that DePaul, what type of team comp would you like to see DePaul play against Big Toe Bros? Because we know Big Toe Bros wants to force these more 5v5 team fights. They want to scale a little bit more into late game. So would you guys want to see DePaul double down on the early game and just go like balls to the wall and run a Fiora, run something in mid lane that KD can pressure with?
I personally think DePaul is really good at split push, so I feel like they want to have someone split pushing topside. KD can pick someone as massive wave clear for the mid lane and just make sure that while Fiora or potentially whoever Dumptick who's like playing topside can just freely flip push while KD and the rest of the team hold on the mid lane, or maybe don't contest a objective while Dumptick does pressure the topside turret, bottom side turret is freely without contention, because he should be able to win the side lane against the tank top, which is usually what Brimako does play.
What about you, Nate? What do you think they should do for next game?
Next game, I'm thinking that they really need to also pick someone that can go into the front line with some good CC as well. Nars are only really beneficial in just getting in and ulting, but if his team can't follow up with that, then he's not going to be as useful. So probably in the next game, I think DePaul really is going to need a good CC, but also a good tank that can be in their front line as well.
Okay, so we will be looking towards that for the next game. We will be taking a short 10-15 minute break. The cast will still be on. We will just be muting stuff. So yeah, we will see you guys in 10-15 minutes.